Have you ever caught yourself wondering if certain habits might be quietly pushing people away, but no one has the courage to point them out? The truth is, as we age, we fall into routines. Some of them bring us comfort and stability. Others, however, can turn into blind spots. You may feel you're simply being yourself, but the people around you notice. And while they won't always say a word, those patterns can slowly change how family, friends, and even strangers see you. In this video, we're going to uncover 12 surprisingly unattractive habits that often appear in later years. I don't mean appearance, I'm talking about behaviors. The ones that chip away at your dignity, create distance between you and others, and quietly erode the respect you've worked so hard to earn over a lifetime. This isn't about shame, it's about awareness. Each point will invite you to pause and reflect. Does this habit serve me, or is it pushing people away? The encouraging news is that nearly all of these habits are changeable. By the end, you'll see how a few small adjustments can help you carry yourself with greater confidence, presence, and grace. So let's get started. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join our community of wisdom and support. Number 1. Neglecting personal hygiene. One of the first things people quietly notice, but rarely say out loud, is when someone begins letting their hygiene slip. And I'm not even talking about serious neglect. It's the subtle signs. Clothes that look like they've been worn a few too many days in a row, hair that hasn't been brushed, fingernails that grow longer than you realize, or a faint odor that lingers after you leave the room. These little things may feel harmless, but they speak volumes. Hygiene isn't just about soap and water, it's about how we show up in the world. When we're younger, most of us keep up without thinking. But as we age, energy fades, routines shift, and sometimes the thought creeps in. What's the point? That's where the downward slide begins, and believe me, others notice even if they stay silent. Family members, especially younger ones, often don't know how to bring it up without hurting your feelings. So instead, they step back. They might shorten visits, avoid hugs, or keep a little distance. What they're really reacting to isn't you. It's the message your self-care is sending, that maybe you've given up on yourself. And when you stop caring, people subconsciously stop giving you the warmth and respect you deserve. Now, this doesn't mean you need to look like a movie star, but a clean shirt, brushed hair, and trimmed nails send a powerful signal. I'm still here. I still respect myself. And I respect you, too. People respond to your energy before they respond to your words. Hygiene is one of the clearest reflections of that energy. Taking care of yourself quietly invites others to treat you with dignity, closeness, and respect. And that is always worth the effort. Number 2. Speaking without a filter. Here's another common habit that sneaks up on us with age. That inner voice, the one that used to whisper, "Maybe don't say that out loud," grows quieter. For some, it disappears entirely. You start saying exactly what you think, exactly when you think it. Part of you may even feel proud, thinking, "I've earned the right to say whatever I want." The problem is, while you may feel liberated, the people around you often feel something else, discomfort. There's a thin line between honesty and bluntness. And over time, it's easy to cross it without realizing. Maybe you've made a remark about someone's weight, appearance, or relationship. Maybe you've commented on how your kids or grandkids raise their families. You brush it off with, "I'm just being honest," or, "Back in my day, people weren't so sensitive." But here's the truth. Honesty without kindness is just criticism. And even if you mean well, those sharp words leave marks. People rarely confront you about it. They simply protect themselves by pulling away. Suddenly, you're invited to fewer gatherings, the phone calls get shorter, and the visits feel less frequent. They still love you, but they're guarding themselves against the sting of careless remarks. This doesn't mean you have to censor every thought, but it does mean taking a pause before you speak. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this kind? Because sometimes what feels like speaking your truth is really just venting frustration, and it lands much harder than you realize. A good test is this. If you wouldn't want someone saying it to your grandchild, maybe don't say it to someone else. The wisdom that comes with age is a gift, and when it's wrapped in kindness, people lean in and listen. When it's coated in sarcasm or judgment, they shut down. Your words carry power, perhaps now more than ever. Use them to build bridges, not walls. Number 3, wearing clothes that don't fit anymore. Comfort has its place. There's nothing wrong with wearing familiar clothes, eating the same breakfast, or sticking to simple routines. But when your wardrobe no longer fits your body or your season of life, what feels like comfort can quietly come across as neglect. Think about pants that sag or hang loose, shirts that cling in unflattering ways, styles that haven't changed since the 1990s, or shoes that have long since collapsed in on themselves. These aren't just fashion quirks. They send an unspoken message that you've stopped paying attention to yourself. No one will point it out directly. They'll just notice. And the impression they get isn't about vanity, it's about vitality. When someone sees an older adult in well-fitting clothes, clean shoes, and colors that reflect their natural tones, something shifts. They see dignity. They see presence. They see someone still showing up in life, not fading into the background. Now, I've heard people say, "Who cares what I wear? I'm comfortable." And that's valid. But there's a difference between being comfortable and being careless. You can be both comfortable and put together. You can wear clothes that make you feel good and still signal to others that you respect yourself. Even small updates, a new pair of jeans, a fresh shirt, or shoes that fit properly, can change how people respond. Think about it this way. Would you show up to a job interview in the exact suit you wore 25 years ago? Probably not. Life moves forward. Our bodies change. Our energy shifts. Dressing in a way that honors who you are today, not who you were decades ago, shows self-awareness. It tells others, I still take pride in being me. And here's the secret. People notice. They may not comment, but they smile more. They engage more warmly. They treat you with a little extra respect, because, like it or not, first impressions matter at every age. And the way we dress is often our first impression. Growing older doesn't mean giving up on yourself. It doesn't mean ignoring hygiene, abandoning compassion in your words, or living in clothes that don't serve you anymore. It means adapting. It means choosing small acts of self-respect that ripple outward into the way others see and treat you. None of these habits require perfection. They don't demand endless money or energy. They require awareness, intention, and a willingness to ask, is this habit helping me connect with people, or is it quietly pushing them away? Here's the good news. Every one of these habits is fixable. You can choose to shower and change into something fresh. You can choose to pause before speaking. You can choose to wear clothes that feel both comfortable and presentable. These choices, small as they seem, can change not just how others experience you, but how you experience yourself. Because at the end of the day, dignity isn't something other people give you. It's something you practice in the little details, day after day, year after year. And when you do, people notice. They may not say a word, but they'll feel it. And they'll treat you with the kindness, closeness, and respect you deserve. If these words touched your heart and sparked inspiration within you, leave a 3 in the comments to let it shine. If they did not, leave a 0 in quiet honesty. Every thought you share is a gift. Thank you for giving us a moment of your precious time. Number 4, interrupting or dominating conversations. We all want to be heard. And after 70, that desire can feel even stronger. You've lived through decades of experiences. You've seen the world change, survived challenges, learned lessons the hard way. Naturally, you want to share. But here's the catch. Sometimes in our eagerness to pass on what we know, or in our determination to make sure we're understood, we forget to leave room for others. It usually starts subtly. Someone begins telling a story and you realize you've lived through something similar. You jump in. You add your own story. You begin explaining what they should do or how they should feel. Before you know it, 10 minutes have passed and no one else has said a word. Now here's the important part. This habit rarely comes from a bad place. More often than not, it's rooted in kindness, in a genuine desire to help, or in the confidence that your perspective could save someone else from hardship. But to the people on the other end, it doesn't always feel that way. When you take up too much space in a conversation, you unintentionally silence the people you love most, and they'll never tell you outright. Instead, they'll quietly pull back. Fewer calls, shorter visits, less depth. The distance grows, and you may never know why. What most people want isn't a lecture. They want to feel seen. They want to feel that their words matter as much as yours. And when every conversation turns into a one-way street, the relationship slowly erodes. Younger adults, especially grandchildren, feel this most. They already wonder how to connect across generations. When their every attempt is cut short, they simply stop trying. But here's the good news. The solution isn't saying less. It's listening more. It's allowing silence, resisting the urge to fill every pause, asking more questions than you answer. And when you do speak, let it be after someone else has truly finished, not while they're mid-thought. Ironically, the less you dominate conversations, the more people seek you out. The more you listen, the more they trust your wisdom. You become the person they want to call, the one they lean on for perspective, not because you force it, but because you've earned it. So next time you're in a group or sitting with a loved one one-on-one, ask yourself, am I really listening or just waiting for my turn to speak? That small shift changes everything. When people feel heard, they open their hearts, they draw closer, and suddenly every conversation feels like connection instead of competition. Number 5, complaining about kids these days. It usually starts with an observation. You see a teenager scrolling on their phone and mutter, "Back in my day, we actually talked face to face." You hear about someone in their 30s making a career choice you don't agree with, and you think, they don't understand how the real world works. Over time, those private thoughts slip into public comments, at family dinners, coffee with friends, even conversations with strangers. And before long, you've become the one who complains about younger people. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every generation has criticized the one behind it. That's nothing new. But when constant criticism becomes your default, it doesn't make you look wise. It makes you look bitter. You may intend it as a joke. You may think you're just pointing out the obvious. But to the people listening, especially your children and grandchildren, it often feels like dismissal. It tells them you're uninterested in understanding their world, that you've chosen to stay in the past instead of meeting them in the present. And the result? They pull back. They avoid deeper conversations, stick to surface-level topics, and brace themselves for judgment whenever they're with you. Even if they love you, they begin keeping parts of their lives hidden. This doesn't mean you need to embrace every new idea or trend. You don't have to download TikTok or love avocado toast, but you do have to choose curiosity over criticism. Instead of saying, "These kids today don't know hard work," ask, "What's it like trying to build a career in today's world?" Instead of, "When I was your age, we respected our parents," try, "What matters most to your generation when it comes to family?" This shift, from judgment to curiosity, transforms relationships. It tells younger people that you care about their experience, even if it's different from your own. And when they feel respected, they lean in. They start asking you for stories, for advice, for perspective. Your real influence doesn't come from comparing yesterday to today. It comes from bridging the two, being the steady voice that links generations instead of dividing them. Younger people don't need you to agree with them. They need you to hear them. When they feel heard, they start listening to you in return. That's the paradox. Stop complaining, start asking, and suddenly you become not just the elder in the room, but the one everyone looks up to. Number 6. Ignoring modern etiquette. There's a kind of social awareness that often goes unnoticed until it's missing. It's in the small things. Speaking loudly on your phone in a waiting room, standing too close to someone in line, playing a video without headphones in a cafe. Tiny behaviors, yes, but they carry a big impact. Decades ago, these things might not have mattered as much. People were used to louder conversations, fewer boundaries around personal space, or slower adjustments to technology. But times have changed, expectations have shifted, and what was once harmless now makes people quietly uncomfortable. The tricky part is, you may not realize you're doing it. Rarely will anyone confront you directly. Instead, they'll give you side glances. They'll avoid eye contact. They'll move away. It's not personal, but it is real. And unfortunately, when people see older adults breaking these unspoken rules, they often don't assume misunderstanding. They assume disregard. That's not the impression you want to leave. Fortunately, it's one of the easiest habits to change. Start by paying closer attention to those around you. Notice how others handle their phones in public, how they give space in crowded places, how they keep noise levels down in shared environments. These cues are free lessons in modern etiquette. Adapting doesn't mean becoming uptight. It means being considerate. It says, I'm still aware. I still notice. I still care about how my actions affect others. That awareness builds respect instantly. It tells people, strangers, neighbors, even your own family, that you're still tuned into the world as it is today, not just the world as it used to be. And when your grandchildren see you adjusting to the norms of their generation, something beautiful happens. They stop seeing you as out of touch. They start seeing you as someone adaptable, someone relevant, someone who respects them enough to meet them halfway. That subtle dignity sets you apart. In a world that often feels rushed and self-absorbed, an elder who moves with awareness stands out like a lighthouse, steady, grounded, respected. Number 7. Oversharing medical problems. We've all heard the joke. Get a few older folks together and suddenly the conversation sounds like a doctor's waiting room. Who's had the most surgeries? Who's on the most medications? Whose knee hurts the worst? It may feel like harmless talk, or even a way of bonding, but here's the truth. When every conversation circles back to your ailments, it quietly drains the energy of the people around you. Everyone already knows that aging comes with health challenges. No one expects you to pretend everything is fine. But when your words always gravitate toward what hurts, what the doctor said, or what's scheduled next on the medical calendar, people stop feeling like they're connecting with you. Instead, they feel like they're stuck in a constant recap of your health file. Younger family members especially struggle here. They love you, but they often don't know how to respond. They may feel helpless, guilty, or simply overwhelmed by things they can't fix. So instead of leaning in, they back away. Not because they don't care, but because the heaviness becomes too much. Now, you deserve empathy. You deserve to be heard. But when your health becomes the centerpiece of every interaction, the dynamic shifts. It stops feeling like a relationship and starts feeling like caretaking. And no one, not even you, wants that to define every connection. Think about the people you enjoy being around. Chances are, they aren't the ones who list every ache and pill they take. They're the ones who sprinkle in humor, who talk about what still excites them, who may mention a challenge but don't let it dominate the entire visit. Those are the people others gravitate toward, because they remind us that life is still more than a checklist of symptoms. So does that mean you should hide your struggles? Absolutely not. But it does mean choosing your audience, your timing, and your balance. Share honestly, but also shift the conversation. Ask others about their lives. Mention the book you're reading, the bird you spotted outside, the neighbor's flowers that bloomed early this year. Because you're more than your medical chart. You're still full of stories, insights, and joy worth sharing. And here's the surprising part. When you take the spotlight off your health, you don't just lighten the room for others, you lighten it for yourself too. You remember that you are not defined by pain or pills. You're defined by the way you keep showing up. And in a world already heavy, being someone who lifts the room, even a little, becomes its own kind of medicine. Number 8, being stubborn about outdated beliefs. One of the hardest habits to see in ourselves as we age is when our beliefs turn into walls instead of windows. We hold on to principles that once guided us well, values that helped us raise families, build careers, and navigate a complicated world. And those beliefs may have been the backbone of your success. But here's the danger. If we're not careful, what once was wisdom hardens into rigidity. Suddenly, phrases like, "That's just how it is," or "People are too sensitive these days," become your go-to responses. You may feel confident, even righteous, when you say them, but what others hear is resistance. The truth is, the world has changed, and it's still changing. Technology, social roles, cultural awareness, mental health conversations, the way people connect, it's all moving quickly. And when you refuse to even consider another perspective, it doesn't sound like experience. It sounds like unwillingness. Younger people notice this instantly. They may not call you out on it directly, but inside, they quietly label you. They decide there are certain topics they can't bring up with you. They tell themselves, "Grandpa won't understand," or "Grandma doesn't want to hear it." And that's a loss, not just for them, but for you too. Because in shutting the door, you miss chances to connect, to learn, to remain part of their evolving world. Now, staying open doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means updating your understanding. It means making room at the table for new ideas, even if you don't adopt all of them. It means saying, "Tell me more about that," instead of, "That's nonsense." Those small shifts open doors. And when you open doors, people walk through them. They share, they trust, they feel safe. And here's something important. Stubbornness often masks fear. Fear of losing relevance. Fear of being left behind. Fear that letting go of an old belief means losing a part of yourself. But the truth is, your relevance doesn't come from holding on to the past. It comes from how bravely you engage with the present. Sometimes, in those conversations, you might even surprise yourself. You might learn that your grandchild's career choice actually makes sense in today's economy. You might discover that new approaches to relationships or mental health carry wisdom you never had access to when you were younger. And when you can admit that, people admire you more. Not because you had all the answers, but because you stayed a student of life. That's rare. That's powerful. And that's what keeps you not just respected, but cherished. As we've explored, it's often not the big dramatic choices that shape how people see us in our later years. It's the small habits, the way we care for ourselves, the way we speak, the way we choose curiosity over criticism, that quietly tell the world who we are. Oversharing medical problems or clinging to outdated beliefs may not seem like much in the moment, but over time, they create distance. They make others pull back, not because they don't love us, but because the weight of those habits overshadows the connection they're longing for. But here's the good news. Every one of these habits is changeable. None of them are permanent. The same way you once taught your children, supported your friends, and adapted to new chapters in life, you can adjust now. You can choose to let your conversations highlight joy, humor, and wisdom. You can choose to stay curious, to listen first, and to show the people around you that your spirit is just as alive as ever. And when you do, something beautiful happens. People lean in again. They listen. They respect you, not just for what you've lived through, but for the way you continue to live with dignity, grace, and openness. So take this as a gentle reminder. Your habits shape your relationships. and the relationships you nurture shape the quality of your later years. If this message resonated with you, don't let it stop here. Give this video a like, share it with someone who might need the encouragement, and subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation. Together, we can build not just longer lives, but richer, more connected ones.